Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Wow. It's 2026 already. Kind of scary, actually. So, we are trying to be a little more positive this year. And, well, it started off well for a very simple reason. Yesterday, I finished 2 works in progress. Now, they weren't bobbin lace, admittedly, but they were still minor works in progress, basically some crap I fiddle with while I do other things. And I do need to point out, tatting is really hard to do when you do other things. Oh, dogs, don't start, for goodness sake. We've been going all of what, less than 2 minutes. Can we have a little more peace this year, please? So yeah, but I have indeed finished 2 works in progress. Hi, Christy. So I started them last year. I started one of them, the one I finished second actually. I started first, and I was following the pattern as it was written, and I was adding the beads to it that they suggest. And I'm not going to say I hate it, because that's definitely not the thing. Adding beads to it was not hard, but hard at the same time. Just settle down anymore. The beads only got on my nerves because you need them to stay. Amy, can we not? I don't need both of you trying to dig in through my face. Come on. So tatting with beads is not hard. You string them all on at the beginning, and you go about your tattingness. And then when you want one, you make sure it's either in the loop that you're going to use it in, or you pull it up when you need one. It really is no more complex than that. Except it's not that simple. Tatting uses quite a lot of thread. I would say round about a bit more than crochet. The reason I say that is because the stitch you end up is very similar with crochet, but of course it has a core thread running through the middle of it. Well, and this is kind of the bit I've joined you on, is the sense that it can look very pretty, hurrah. It is technically not very hard because you string them all on, and when you want them, you use one. When you don't, you don't. But managing them when you don't want them gets really frustrating, because when you have a shuttle in your right hand, and let's say there are beads on that shuttle, the beads must be trapped round the body of the shuttle. They cannot be able to float down the string that is the working string. Even if it's a fairly long working string and you've, kind of gone a bit overboard on that, it will sink down into where you're working and get in the way. So, in short, what you have to do is put them on the string and then unwind quite a lot of your bobbin, and then trap the beads in with the extra string as you wind it back on. Then when you need some, unwind it all, grab the couple of beads that you want, and maybe extend that buffer a bit more because you'll have used some by now, and repeat. So you spend your whole time unwinding and rewinding your bobbins, moving the beads about. Now, when you do it with lace work, frankly, it's a hell of a lot easier. When you do it with bobbin lace, if I wanted to put a bead in here and now, I would grab said bead. I would pull one bobbin string through using a hook, most likely, and then put the other bobbin through it. Ta-da, the bead through to the loop that's come through the thing. Give it a bit of a tug. The bead is now trapped on. Result. I do not need to do it in advance. I can decide in the now. Tatting, you need to have it already on the string. You need to have enough of them. You need to have them in the right order. You need to have them on the right tatting shuttle. So it is kind of Pippi, how you doing? So it is kind of one of those things, is that it's something I want to do, something that I think can look nice, but I also want it to jump off a bridge and leave me alone. So let me show you where we're at. So this one is the one with beads. Now it's not very big, really, you know, it's under my hand. So let me zoom in quite a lot. I will move down a bit in a minute. That way, fear not. Look, see, moving down. Remember, you still have control of the camera if you really, really want. Right. So you can see there are beads in there, and on camera they don't look quite as pretty as they do in real life, because they don't. The light is sufficiently bright that you don't really see the glitteriness. You just kind of see them. Fair enough, Phoebe. No worries. Yeah, and I think, Christy, I think if I was going to do more beadwork, I would much rather use the I'll add one in the now rather than stack them all around my shuttle, because that really annoyed me. And as you know, I do have another one. Hang on. I didn't trim the ends, and mainly because I didn't finish it, and you'll see why in a minute. So, I do have this one. And this one also has beads in the same place, by the way. But if I tell you that my shuttle ran out of thread... Well, actually, I think it was mainly this one. But you have to have loaded the beads on. So if you get to the end before you realised it, they all fall off and on the floor. And this does not make happy Liz. Much as I really enjoy working with this slightly larger thread, and it's much easier to get an easier even tension with it, although I didn't do too badly with this one. This is the cheap nasty thread that I don't like. This is the posh one that's a bit more forgiving. I have ordered this size but of this stuff. I've ordered some stuff for that. I do have white in this size of the good stuff, but I have ordered a couple of colours because, as you will see, much as the beads were a good idea, because, you know, they do look pretty, and I think especially in something like, you know, a wall or a window, something where you've got these could look very attractive. But I also went off on a tangent, because I remember saying to you all last year, because I can say that now, I didn't like the bigger gaps. I don't like these gaps. They're a bit big, especially if looking at it on this scale. So if you look at it on this scale, sort out some ends so you can see stuff properly. This gap here is quite big, and it's too big to be curtainish, because, well, as you know, I can't really think of anything big that I want, so curtainish it is, right? I did this, which was I added a bit to it. So if I put them side by side, you will see it is fundamentally the same pattern, but I added these two extra loops either side of the middles. Gives it a bit more stability. Hey, neck kisser, gives it a bit more stability, but also fills in this bigger hole. I mean, there is still a hole. It looks a bit like Batman, actually. It looks, or an angel, if you look. It's got a head, 2 wings, and a body. It filled it in a little bit more, and you could add beads to it. I mean, if you really want. I mean, I think in a way, beads along these would look quite nice, having a nice strong diamond shape in the middle, or even kind of there kind of thing along the key points along this kind of trail, to give again another diamond shape within. But I'm quite happy because that was my first ever, I won't say pattern alteration because I have fiddled. There is, of course, one faux pas with this. Where is it? There it is. I forgot to join that corner properly. But for the most part, I'm pretty screw-up free, which was, frankly, a little bit of a result. But what I did find was that having different colours made it much easier to make sure I was using the right bobbin because, well, the problem with this is they're the same colour. So, roof, want water, roof, wants come in, mole, mole, paw, paw, ding dong, ring, ring, text, whatever. It's really hard to keep tatting because your hand's kind of full of thread. And so you put it down and it's easy. I mean, depending on where you're at, it can be harder to make sure you've got the right thread. Now, even though I had different coloured shuttles, so you'd think it'd be quite easy, it was too easy to transpose them in a single colour. And so I think some of the shaping is less than ideal because, well, frankly, I used the wrong shuttle, almost certainly, in some places. But also, it made it harder to be sure which bead, you know, if I'd started with so many beads and ended with so many beads, I couldn't promise you I'd used beads from the right shuttle in the right places. I got beads in the right places and it looks fine because it's one colour, but it doesn't mean it's right. This is right. There is no way I've got it wrong because the pink's where the pink should be, the purple's where the purple should be. And I'm really pleased with it because I made, rather than a minute change such as ditching some beads or not, or a couple of picots, I actually structurally changed how this worked. Only a bit, but you know, it happens. Now I have talked to Christy because I'm trying to work out the best way to draw a tatting pattern. And the reason I say that, she says, going off onto her screen, to go and get a pattern but not show you the counts so that it's kind of copyright friendly. So this is the pattern, right? But I obviously need to add loops here and here, which is what I did. But how to draw it well? Because, well, oh, no worries. Take care. Sleep well. Hope you didn't have to work today like I did. Anyway, so I'm kind of trying to work out how I would draw this successfully because, well, I do not have drawing talent. Now, given fair enough. Streaming it while is work isn't work, if you know what I mean. It's work enough, but it's not working for the man, if you know what I mean. Unlike my good self, who has a full-time job working for the man. There are alternatives to Excel that are perfectly good, and I'm not thinking of Google Sheets. There is another one. There is a Open Office. That's the one. Open Office. That's free. Or it was free. Yay! Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I was going to ask. But go to sleep. Wow. They growed. They've growed. But so if anyone knows a good way of how to draw this shit. Now, I do have a graphics tablet, and I would expect with a brush with a load of smoothing on it, because I'll need it, because it's like I've got Parkinson's. No offense to the Parkinson's people out there. Because if you've ever seen me try to... I mean, I've got a fairly steady hand. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not that great, but I'm possibly not going to be the next greatest sniper of the world, but I can shoot, so, there's some hope. But at the same time, it's not, I'm not really jittery. But when I try and draw on a computer, I turn into something's wrong with me. And part of this is the lack of confidence. Because if you ever watch artists on tablets and things, they have confidence, therefore their brushstrokes have confidence, therefore their brushstrokes come out like they wanted. I don't have confidence, therefore I'm hesitant, therefore it screws up because, well, I'm not confident. But I do think that, as I did find out for those who were around, who ever saw my art videos, you will know that some of it can be achieved with smoothing and a tablet. So I do think that there is a hope for that. And maybe some paste on picos where necessary, because that can always help. But I do think that there is hope. But it would be nice to work out a way to draw out some of these things to make it a bit more bosh. But that's what I got up to yesterday. So this was the first one I finished, and to be honest, I'm really pleased with it. In part because I made a significant change. I mean, it's not really. I added, instead of a pico here, I made a whole loop. But I guessed the size. I applied logic to how much size I would need. I did. I actually thought about it. I made a guesstimation, as in there was some logic and but the size I picked actually seems to be the right size. Hurrah. This one looks a bit squish. Doesn't want to lie flat quite right. It probably would if I haven't pressed or blocked either of them. What I did do was go on it a lot and then stick something heavy on it so it's a bit flat, so it doesn't try and curl and isn't too lumpy. So they're not blocked, but they are kind of, flattened, because they do tend, because you manhandle it quite a lot, it does tend to curl up. Like this bit here is trying to curl up quite a bit. They do tend to want to do that. So one thing I have actually thought of would be stick them in a flower press. That sounds stupid, kind of almost spritz them with a very light, spritz, half dry them with water so that they're kind of like 80% dry. A bit like when they, if you ever, bear in mind I don't do this because I'm lazy, but, people talk about doing stuff with the hair and they do it like, wait till it's 90% dry. Yeah, wait till it's 90% dry, stick it in a flower press, squeeze the crap out of it, it will dry out. And then it will dry it flat because it will be flat. Or you could just steam press it, which is the other choice, of course. Which is also good. Less good with beads, though. The only problem with beads, of course, is that they're plastic and that they stick up a bit. But I do have various plans. So, as you know, I am one for side projects. It appeals and stops the I hate this shit, I'm pissed off with this shit, I don't want to touch this shit, I hate everybody and everything. So here is one of my plans. One of my plans is some Ada cloth. I have a plan for that, which involves being a cushion for a friend, potentially. Or not. But I do intend to do that. The finished size of said thing will be about 15 inches square. I hate the little pincushion thing I was making, which I was thoroughly enjoying to start with. Died. I can't stand the colour of having green flowers. And I know that it's only green. Go and buy another fucking colour and change it. But that's not how it was designed. And I'm not the greatest with colours. But I do like purple and pink. Even though I don't like pink as a colour, or purple as a colour particularly, do like the way they interact. And it has to be the right level of purple and pink, do not get me wrong. But purple and pink just look nice. In short, hot pink and methylated spirits. Those are the two colours that I kind of require. Hot pink, methylated spirits. Those look nice together. And there was something I discovered by accident as a child, and my brain has latched onto those as two quite bold colours, which is very daring for me because I am a beige girl after all. Basically, mostly I do shades of brown, cream, and white and black. As of course is demonstrated by the inevitable beige jumper. So it is, you know, beige is definitely the thing. Shades of brown, which is really bizarre because when I was a kid, my school uniform was brown, and by the time I finished school, you couldn't have paid me enough money in the world to make me wear brown. You really couldn't. And I didn't. I wore white and blue t-shirts and black jeans, or blue jeans, all the time. But I got bored of them, and somewhere along the lines drifted into beige, where I'm quite comfortable. I like beige. Lots of things in my house are a variant of beige, or beige-ish. The carpet's got a bit more, got a slight hint of yellow to the beige, so it's a bit more mustardy, but a kind of pale mustard. It's kind of weird. Don't particularly like it, but it's really good quality carpet, and there's nothing wrong with it other than the hall's a bit messy. So it's going to stay for a while. It's also too pale for a carpet, frankly. Carpets should not be a similar hue to my jumper. They need to have a bit of dark to them, frankly. I know it makes the room feel a bit smaller, but it also makes it feel warmer, and it doesn't show the muck. So, vive le darker carpet. So where am I at? I've got some cross stitch lined up. I've got planned for some tatting. And I'm feeling, dare I put it, a bit positive. Now, as you know, end of last year, I was really, really struggling. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not struggling, but I'm definitely feeling a bit more positive. Not aided by this morning's working session, I will concede that. Yeah. Struggling a bit with that. And I know on Monday I've got to spend some time doing a training course that was due last month, but I was on holiday, and so bollocks to it. Hopefully it won't take too long because it's really boring, and I'm sure it's the same shit as last quarter, in which case it really is boring. It's just ticking a box for ticking the box's sake. If it's not the same shit, it'll be very similar to the same shit because, well, it's the nature of what it is. It's security training. So it's bound to be along the lines of, don't say this, don't do that, don't share this, don't do that. Yeah, I know all of that. I've been here 20 years, dude. It's 21 years next month. 21 long years. My career could drink in America as of the 5th of February. So, yeah. It's a long time. I've been doing this job, and frankly, it's not changed very much. Which one's that one? So there's the thinner thread in white, so just to prove I have the good stuff with a sticker. I have ordered a couple of colours, pale colours admittedly, but I've ordered a couple of colours to go with, so I can have a bit of a fiddle to do basically this square but with the coloured, so that I keep using the right shuttle. But yeah, I am feeling slightly positive, to the point, for those who know, Obviously Wednesday is usually bin day, but not this year because, well, it was Christmas. It was New Year's Eve. So bin day is tomorrow. But I've already got a bin bit ready. I've already done a bit of my bin stuff that I would normally have not bothered and gone, shit, I forgot the bin. I've already done a big load. I also, if I hadn't ended up working an extra hour today, probably would have tidied up a bit more and put a bit more stuff ready for the bin. So that's kind of shockingly, scarily improved on where I was at. So not good, but definitely nowhere near the bad that I had got. So I am feeling distinctly better. Now, I still have not found the 8th one of these. But without giving the game away, Mount Crapmore may have eaten it. In which case, it probably won't be too far in. It'll be in a box. I reckon it'll be in a box somewhere, and that's part of my problem, is that it's snuck into something that it shouldn't be in. So the pile of stuff and so on that I have, yeah. But I also got, because, well, I'm me, I got some white beads to go along with my, where are they? There they are. Tic Tac ball beads. Now, these look white, but they're not. They're clear. But these are the ones... Yeah, you can't see it at all on camera. Let me see if I turn the light off. Hang on. Can you see? You can... No, you can't see the colours at all. I was hoping you could see the colours a little bit. Yeah, you can't see them at all. These ones are actually just white, because, well, they're just white. But I've ordered some kind of petrol blue ones, which I quite like the look of, because they could go quite nicely with the pink and purple, because they're a purpley kind of pinky kind of thing. And I think I ordered some gold ones that could also go quite well with beige, because, well, gold and beige is a similar kind of thing. So, yes, I am kind of feeling pleased with myself. So I hope that you all had a really good Christmas, and that your crafting projects and your otherwise endeavours were successful, or came out at least in a positive manner. If you had family, I hope that they behaved themselves and that you enjoyed your time with them, and not regretting going to see Aunt Maud or whoever, and, you know, as many of us used to do, get dragged to go and see some relative and moan the whole way home. Do we have to go? Yeah, you know. I hope that everyone was on their best behaviour, that you didn't have too many fights over Christmas. I hope that if you got any presents, that they were nice, or at least they were things you wanted or would have chosen for yourself, given the chance. Maybe you would not have bought it directly, but as a choice, it was the colour, shape, whatever that you would have enjoyed. I got biscuits, and I got a calendar, and some takeout vouchers, because me and my neighbours, we do exchange gifts in a very light manner, in that basically we both seem to have takeout Fridays. So birthdays and Christmas, takeout voucher, because we use the same company, because, well, there isn't a lot of choice in the UK. Nearly all of the takeouts of choice are on Just Eat, so a Just Eat voucher is the done thing. So it's either that or Amazon vouchers, you know, either work, because we both live on both, frankly. And so, yes. And, oh, do you remember the Bailey incident? Well, apparently one of her older dogs, the bigger dogs, one of the ones that woof a lot, is coming towards its natural end. So she's going to go and get another Bailey. She's gone back to the breeder she got Bailey from, to get basically a litter mate of Bailey's, or not literally a litter mate, but, you know, same parent line as Bailey, the dog who doesn't listen. My neighbour was so happy. She'd been to see him. Exactly. It's like, what? Although, I would like to say, my neighbour, who did do literally for the best part of 40-something minutes, Bailey, 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 Bailey. Yep, and I did go out there and tell her what I thought of her. Because 40 minutes is 40 minutes too long. If your dog has not moved or even one hair has twitched, it ain't coming, bitch. Get off your ass, go and get it. Because part of the reason that she is so annoying is it's not like she's walking around looking for it, calling its name, hoping to see a twitch somewhere. No, no, no. She just stands at her gate yelling. Literally, at the same tone, constantly, like I just did. Bailey! 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 That's all she does. And of course it ignores her, because, well, I wish I could ignore her, because annoying the shit out of me. And so, on the eventful day in question, much to the applause of my neighbours, I need to point out, I went out back and told her to just get off her ass and go and get the fucking thing, because it clearly wasn't coming. She didn't shout at it, and she occasionally shouts 2 or 3 times. She doesn't do more than that now. And I've been almost like elevated to saviour of the neighbourhood, because, well, I mean, I don't live in a particularly dense area, but, you know, enough people could hear her, and clearly wanted to say something, didn't quite have the balls. And as you well know, if I'm off on one, I don't mind. I don't mind. You could be Elon Musk. You could be the Prime Minister of England. I really don't mind. If you're doing something dumb, I'm happy to tell you if I'm off on one. If I'm in a mood and you've done me wrong today, I'll happily tell you. And so I happily told her. And apparently she's a little bit ashamed and a bit kind of concerned, because obviously she's never met me. She's also never seen me. I've seen her. She's never seen me. Because, of course, when she was doing the Bailey thing, I looked through my fence, because it's got like little crisscross things, and could see her standing at the gate, so I know exactly what she looks like. Well, I may have been standing through my fence, but all she would have seen maybe is like half a head. It's not quite the same thing. So she doesn't know what I look like. She doesn't know if I'm like, 6'5" and ribbed and you know, could bench press a car, or whether I'm 3'2" and was standing on a stool. I'm 5'7", just in case you wondered. But I do weigh more than is generally desirable. I look skinny next to her though. But I can use my weight in the right manner, for I did karate and I know what to do with it, and would be prepared to pull a few muscles. Please do not underestimate. If it really came down to it, I can pull a few muscles and kick her in the head. That's not a problem. The doorbell may go. Mr. Amazon Man. There's the whining of dog. I am expecting a bit more from Amazon. So although I got I ordered 2. I ordered this one and another one, which is basically the same shit but possibly slightly different. The reason that I ordered 2 is because one of them says that the grid washes off. This one doesn't say that the grid washes off. So I mean it's quite faint. But I think this is permanent, in which case I can't cheat. Now, let me explain that. Obviously, when you do cross stitch, cross, the pattern I've got is monochrome. So it's one load of colour, and then either gap or white or black, depending on whatever colour you've picked, right? Now, if it can wash off, I can just cheat and leave it and just stitch the coloured. the actual pattern and not the anti-pattern, if that makes sense. So I ordered 2 to see, because, well, you know, if I'm going to make a couple of cushions, I can use both. Because I'm not necessarily going to make them for the same people. So, and I've got a couple of cushion patterns. And I know it's a big project because cross stitch is not exactly fast shit. And of course it's 18 count because I quite liked the size of the stitches of the detail in what I was doing. Let me show you what the pattern that I've pickhead. Hang on. That one? No, she's not filling that one. Should be. No. No. There it is. Right, one of the pictures I've picked. Let me shrink it for copyright purposes. There you go. So one of them is that. That will be 15 inches square, right? Now, that's a lot of work. But I have got another one. And the other one looks like... Ooh, shut up. You can go away. You don't need the echo of that. Looks like this. Hang on. Looks like this one. So that's the one I was thinking of doing for my friend. So there's quite a bit of white in that, especially in the middle. Quite like that. That would kind of appeal to her. The ones that appeal to me, of course, things more like this one, which is a bit more kind of 50-50, or this one. Again, this one's quite 50-50, although it's a bit more white around the edge. I quite like some of these. Bit Nauticelt style, and I know Nauticelt, like all people, will appear if you say Nauticelt enough. Because they're all knotty things, a bit like it. So, you know, something like this, quite like the idea of this. So, all of these things have potential to be cushions. So I have, so hence, you know, gonna order some things. Some of them are a bit more bulky and simpler to do, which is a good thing. I have put the complex one that I showed you, so hang on, just as a reminder. Hang on, where did I put it? There it is. So I have put that into my cross stitch program. That was so much hard work. Because you can't just take this picture and put it in. Even though it's got a grid on it, and in your mind, if you say it's X stitches wide, you would expect the program to go, right, I will test the center of every square, and it's either, you know, pick which color it is. So, you know, in this case, white or kind of grey blue color, and then assign it accordingly. No. What it actually does is make a colossal mess and actually put in, it looks like interference. Let me see if I can find it. So I don't want to out anyone in particular, so let me just quickly scoot over here. Where's he gone? So, although I don't want to show too much of this, so let's squinch it down a little bit so that it's not too much of the pattern in show, because, you know, as I say, it's a copyright pattern, so I'm trying to be mindful for the designer, and I do kind of want to partly cover up some information. So let's grab a window for you. Grab a window like this, cover that. hide that. There you go. Right, so if you look, you can see there on this mat at the bottom that it was kind of doing all right. It seems to have kind of put a few blank lines in it, and then there's like this interference, almost like TV interference, and then it sorts itself out again. Now, the part that it was explained to me why this is a thing. It is a thing because when you look at a grid, you and I look at a grid, and our brain will just go, well, there's grid, ignore that, and then look at the pattern that is in it. A computer can't do that. A computer will look at a grid, and if you say to it, what's the average of this square, it will include the grid as part of the square. And so, because when you try and line up, because obviously I've tried to import it, and I've said to it, right, here is the grid bit, and from this corner to this corner, well, it basically, the import thing of the grid, because you can import a grid, you can say to it, this is the top left hand corner. It then asks you to click on a point that is 10 stitches in and 10 stitches down to get a gauge of how many stitches are going to be in it, and then you click on the bottom right hand corner and it maxes it all out. Personally, I'd almost prefer to do the click top left, click bottom, and tell it exactly how many it is, because sometimes it's half a pixel and you can't have half a pixel. So obviously, depending on where that line then lies, it ends up, if you're half a pixel out, well, eventually you're like more than 1 pixel out and it's in the middle of the square, so hence the problem. But I did eventually manage to get it, and then you trace over it, because apparently it can't read it itself, which is hyper annoying. But I did then trace over each feckin' stitch. That's not quite true. I didn't. I did kind of cheat. So, with the pattern, let me go back to the pattern for you. Let's do that. So with the pattern, what I actually did is this diamond shape here is actually mirrored down this line. So I made the top half, mirrored it to the bottom. This is the same as that, so I mirrored it over there. This is the same in 4 quadrants, so I did a quarter and moved it around. Same with this one. This is the same with 4 quarters, so I actually did this quarter here and then mumped it out. These two are unique as they stand, so I couldn't cheat. But those were the only 2 bits I actually had to draw all of it off, because again, this is quarters, and then some lines. So, and then once you've done 1 quarter, the same is true in mirror image. So I did manage to cheat, although I've just noticed something. Feck! This one, I mean, I'll draw on it because I won't save it, but I probably need a thicker one than that. Brushes, what a fat brush. I'll do. So this one is the same as this one. This is the same as this. What I didn't spot is that actually this is number 3. And this is number 4. I mirrored them. Now, it doesn't technically matter, because being mirrored is not wrong, but it's not the design pattern. Because what I actually did, of course, was I took only this quarter and put it in, so I didn't see that the bottom bit was slightly different. Well, feck. The corners, everything's the same except for that inner star. Wouldn't kill it to be the same, but technically, I have faux pas. There you go. But that's kind of my plan. I'm going to do a bit of that while watching telly and hugging dogs. And I'm kind of looking forward to it, because I did enjoy the cross stitch thing. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I did. I just didn't enjoy the colours really put me off. So because this is effectively monochrome, I have ordered me some colours. And the colours I have picked are, she says, so try not to laugh because you need quite a bit of the stuff. So I have got white coming because, well, you can never have too much white if you're going to fill in the gaps. I've got kind of British racing green. I have kind of almost Christmas red. It's not quite Christmas red, it's a bit darker, but not a lot. I'm sure I had more black. I'm sure I had another colour. Is that a different colour? Yeah, it is. Which colour's which? I've got Christmas red. So I've got red, and then there's another one which is bright red. So I've got one that's kind of a blue red and one that's a bit more of an orange red, for want of a slightly better description. So because there is, because I can, but I really like the racing green one for me. I ordered a turquoise one. Did I not order a turquoise one? I did. Apparently not. I really thought I'd ordered a turquoise one. Did I? Am I dreaming? You could have sworn I ordered a turquoise one. Yeah, I could have sworn I picked that. I really thought I had picked a couple more than that. But they're really not expensive. When I say not expensive, packs of 12, allegedly. Oh, fuck off, Spambot. Packs of 12 for £3.99. I am not convinced I'm actually getting a pack of 12. But we shall see. Let me just kind of kill off the Spambot. Because we all know that Spambots don't live very long, do they? Yep. You know it's a Spambot because they never react when I say hello, Spambot. Ban the Spambot. Right. So I have ordered those colours. I really thought I ordered some more of that because, well, it is kind of cheap. I really thought I'd ordered some more of that. But according to this, no. So, red, black, the other red, green, white. And that's it. I really thought I'd ordered tealy kind of colour. Almost a petrol-y colour. I found myself doing this more often than not, to be honest. And it is quite disconcerting. Which is that I know I looked at things. I know I added it to my cart at some point. But apparently I changed my mind. And I don't remember doing so. And that worries me. Do it in brown. I've got brown. That'd be very mean. But then I wouldn't want white with brown. I need a different brown. Oh, they've got a medium brown and a light brown. Not that I can overly see the difference. I'm sure there is one. I'd want more of a cream. But yeah, allegedly it's £4 for 12, so at 30p each, that's not too bad. That's within the realms of reasonable expense. And so let's say I need as much in white as I do in colour, because they've said it's 11 or something for the colour. Well then that makes it £8 in thingies and £8, so it's £16 for a cushion face, which is expensive, but it's definitely, I've heard of worse. The only real problem is the amount of time. But I do have my fancy cloth holdery contraption, which I'm looking at through my monitor gap. So I'm really pleased to be doing that. So yeah, we are. I am feeling a bit more myself. That's definitely a thing. So with that in mind, it's about time we made some lace. And more to the point, that I made this bloody motif because I've been avoiding it because I didn't have the stick. It's not essential to have the stick, but it is made a lot easier by the stick. And I know the other one is around somewhere. I just don't know where. And it annoys me because, well, I didn't send it away. So it means it had doggedy assistance. Because, well, that's always a thing. Because we know that that's a common issue. And, well, like everything that had doggedy assistance, it does mean I don't actually know where it went. Unlike things that I normally do, where I have a good memory of what I did with them to a large extent. Except for grid sizes, as we all know. Liz forgot the grid size again. It's 2.5, by the way. Because although the software doesn't let you see it, you're going to laugh at me, because of course I'm a geek. The software for Lace 8 does not let you see what grid you selected. And that's not entirely true. If you select print and you have a grid size selected already, you can see on the print sheet that it does a preview of what the grid size currently is. But the print size and the design size are two very much different things. Now, you would think, logically, that because you can zoom in and zoom out on the design grid, you would design it to size so that you know it's exactly the right fit, that it's all good. Apparently, this is not how most people work. Apparently, a lot of people change the grid size rather than just zoom in and zoom out. Which of course means then that it might say it's 6 inches when it's 9 inches, or it might say it's 9 inches when it's actually 4. So, personally, I think that's a really dumb decision, but, you know, you do you, that's fine. But the save file does remember the print and the design size. It just won't tell you. See, and of course, wait for it, the file's actually JSON. You can go and read it within a text editor. So that's a good thing. Knowing that also means you can potentially edit it and potentially procedurally make some, which is a bit more up my street. Rather than manually clicking away like a madman, you might be able to, you know, get a computer to just dump it out to a file and then open it in Lace 8. That is way more my level of thinking. But it also means, depending on what the file actually contains, she says, going off to go and have a quick look at one. Hang on. Go there. Up one, down one. Open with. Choose another app. Notepad. Let's see what we have later. Okay, so each type, let's show you, each type, so here's an item, and it finishes there. So that is a blue dot. Oh no, it's a circle. But it says dot, so yeah, it's a blue dot, right? So all of that shit to create one blue dot. But knowing that this is true, it might be possible to use this information to do calculations. But basically, it's all the same kind of thing because 99% of it is dots after all. There you go, an arrow. So there's a different thing. So that one's a different thing. There you go. There's a rose ground one here. So, so this item here is a rose ground, and it's red. I do think that you know, it does mean that should it screw up, you can edit it, which is always a bonus. And to be honest, as a child of the 80s, where can the code be more similar? Well, JSON is a really weird format. It's still better than XML, but JSON is a really weird format. So JSON is very much like HTML. If you've done any work with HTML, in that you open a bracket and you can put some options in it. And so you do like less than some attribute thing, keyword thing, maybe some options, greater than symbol, potentially some data in the middle, and then at the other end you do less than / or backslash depending on which thing you're doing, and at the same attribute name, so to tell it that's the end of that attribute. And JSON works in a very, very similar way, although that's a bit more XML-y, but you put curly braces in JSON usually rather than angle brackets, but it basically works out the same shit. So that is a bit more XML-y, actually, come to think of it. And I never really understood the love of XML. It's not something that ever really appealed to me because it's just so spread out and spammy for the sake of it. Yeah, actually, it is just plain XML, which is kind of funny. But it means that if it's corrupted, you can fix it, or you might be able to find a rogue dot and delete it when you can't manage it in the game. Hey, Bailey! Happy New Year to you, my friend. So yeah, but it does mean that perhaps procedurally generating some of these things is a little bit better. You can adjust the grid procedurally, potentially, and not have to try and do it in using their wretched editor. So there are a lot of things, and then use it more for, you know, checking that what you've generated and printing it. So it has a lot of benefits from that point of view, but I do like the fact that should it somehow corrupt as a child of the 80s, you might be able to fix some of it, or at least rescue some of it. I do like that idea. I mean, obviously, you know, not planning on it, but it is one of the advantages of a plain text format, which is all XML truly is. So, yeah. But yeah, what I was really pleased was when I was looking around, I spotted inside the XML some grid information. Now again, like you've seen, it's not entirely stored in a very minimalistic way, in that there's an awful lot of stuff to say grid size equals 2.5, but that's what it is in there as 2.5, and I did check that it's not bogus. I set it to 2.5 and put other right things in it, and magically it did all line up on the piece of paper. So, well, on the virtual piece of paper. So, with that in mind, it's not lost, even though you can't see it in the piece of software, which is really irritating. Because if you've set a grid and you've, you know, managed to get the size just right with, you know, some really obscure size, well, you might want to remember what that is and make something similar to go with it. Or, well, then you need... Because the thing that annoys me is normally when you go into a computer setting, it shows you the current value so that you can adjust it. Do I need to make it bigger, smaller? That could be your choice. But with this particular thing in Lace 8, whenever you go to change the grid, whether it's for printing or for editing, it just gives you a choice of, this is the grid editor, what size do you want? Can't view what it's already at, which is a horrendous oversight and terribly unhelpful to the user. But that's what we've got. But I have found a way to view the sizing, so I feel quite pleased with myself because, well, that's a thing. Also, being XML might mean it could be read into other things other than Lace 8. Now, they may not make good use of it, but you never know. So I'm just making these all a bit longer because, well, I'm going to be doing an awful lot of fannying with these in a minute. So that one's be particularly short. I need them to be long enough. Because, well, they've got a bit of travelling to do, so. So, yes. I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year, Bailey. If you hear dog snores, I apologise. I'll be a little miss. Bring her Princess and the Pea out. Having climbed aboard a pile of pit cushions and acting like they're lumpy and horrible, as she does. She's also discovered that she can go upstairs when I'm not upstairs and sleep on the bed under the duvet. And occasionally I've lost her, called her, and she's kind of shown up at the top of the stairs, very bleary-eyed as she was fast asleep, looking rather put out that I've disturbed the sleeping. I need to point out, I was at work for 7 o'clock this morning, which was frightfully early considering how lovely and happy I've been in my routine for Christmas. Because bear in mind I've been off for, well, I was technically off for nearly 3 weeks. Every morning, whether I got up at, the first week I got up about 8:30, so it was pretty early for me. Because normally when I'm left to my own devices, I turn into a night owl. Which I did do the last week. This last week I have kind of stayed up a bit. So this week's been pretty bad. But before that, I've been pretty good, getting up by about 9:30, which is very early on a day off for me. Because usually it's nearer 11. Because I can. But get up after being in bed for, 8 hours or whatever. Because, again, holiday. I may not have been asleep, but I was in bed doom scrolling while they slept. And they come down here, get on the couch, and start snoring as if they hadn't had a single blink of sleep overnight. And all they do is sleep. Wretched animals. Right, let's do a bit of this. So, we need some of these, and we need to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we need to do some more of these, and we need you not to be a dick. So what? Each of these has got one too many. Right. Now we work down doing this. So You, and you. And a bin. Saw that. Might be time for the sin hats, you know. Didn't I say that last time? Then we add 2 of you. And I see you've come up already because you're annoying. I know what I forgot. I feel this burning need that I've done something wrong. I'm not doing this the same as I usually do. Now, don't get me wrong, I have this paranoia each and every time I've done these, so it is not a new feeling. But there is a step I feel I've missed. Well, there is distinctly a step I missed on this one, but I forgot to do some twists. But I've got a feeling I normally do even more twists, so let me go back and find one in my pretty little pictures, because, well, I do take a considerable number of pictures. No, that's right, I just missed this one. That's right. I forgot. What did Liz forget? I forgot how much these pop off the ends of my bobbins sometimes. They don't always. That's for sure. So. Alright. This is what I forgot. I forgot the twists at the end of the spider. There we go. So. So yes, I have missed you all. And hopefully you have missed me being jolly, as much as I ever am jolly. I realise that that's a bit of an oxymoron, but I do feel definitely... The only word for it is better. I'm not good, but better. And this is a good thing. Does this mean I'll be streaming every day? Probably not. Don't want to push it too hard. But I do hope to do more than one a week. I did say this again. I said this just before Christmas. Because I sensed an uprising in the vibes. I do hope to be in a position to want to be streaming rather than just to face being streaming, if that makes sense. Because it's not that I hate being here. I really don't think that. But I do struggle with interfacing this much, even though it is my own choice after all. So, but as I said, I don't want it to feel like a chore. I don't want to come to resent or I will never finish this. And I do desperately want to finish this because I think it will look spectacular. I really do. I think it will be wonderful. It won't be perfect, I know that, because I made it and I'm human. But I do know that I think it would be certainly worth the effort. And so I do want to see it done. And unlike gardening, you know, it's not that I want to see it done but don't want to do it. I do want to do it. I just don't necessarily want to do it when it's the right time for me to do it, if you know what I mean. If you ask me at 3 o'clock in the morning, hey Liz, you fancy making some lunch? Yeah, okay. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, I've got work tomorrow. That's really not a good plan. So I do, but I do definitely find myself in a much more, I want to be, I'm looking at it going, I really want to improve that. I want to, you know, I want to work down where I'm at with that. And we need to do a bit of this, unfortunately. Shit. Not much, to be fair. So let's put this here for a moment. And complain about bobbins again. Right. So, I've got you two, which are the next two. No, you two, you go into you. This. Have I got enough twists on it? I don't think I do. Before I commit to that. Yes, I do. So you do have enough twists. That's a good thing. Just doesn't look like it like that. And then you go here like this. Into that hole there. Like that. You are done. And you are ready for the next big adventure. But to do that, I need to make you longer. You go into that. There we go. And I see you coming off. Stop being a dick. Like that. I've forgotten how much my feet get us when I do this. Oh my poor toes. Okay. So don't need you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do need you, however. To complete the edge, put you there. Drink. So yes, it is always good to see you, my friends. If we can get the stonk back on with this. It is kin freezing it. It truly is, my dear friend Naughty Girl. You missed me calling your name in honour, and quite disappointingly, we called Naughty Girl 3 times and you did not appear. We are most upset. Hello Amy. I was showing some cross-stitch patterns that I am going to attempt this year, or at least some of them. You did. You're absolutely atrocious, my man. I mean, how dare you? Ban you. Bannable offence, I think. Right. Let me show you what you missed, because it really wasn't that bad. Hang on. So let me shrink this down again, because, well, because copyright and all that shit. So, this is a potential cushion cover. It's going to be 15 inches, so it's not going to be the whole cushion cover. It's going to have a border on it, but potentially a cushion cover. However, alongside that were things like this one and other ones which I purchased, which were this one, which is kind of knottity knot. They're not true knots. I know that before you even say anything like that. But they look knottity, which is quite cool. And this one, which is kind of knottity. And this one reminds me a bit of your mats. And again, this one's a bit more of a true knot, in the lines kind of run and continue on. So this one's a bit more true knotty. The first one's definitely not a true knot. The first one, which was this one, hasn't actually got too much of a knot in it. The one that I'm hoping to do first, only because, well, I think a friend would like it, is this one. But the actual knots going around the edge, again, while it looks from a distance like they're good, there are bits that aren't quite right. This person's got an absolute shit ton of them, to be fair. If I do this and click on, is it sampler ones? No, it's not sampler ones. That one, sampler MX. She's got fuck tons of them, and some of them I like, some of them I like less. So I like the coloured ones less, although it looks like a patchwork quilt, which is quite nice. I don't like it. There's an awful lot with dragons in. I'm not against a dragon, but I don't fancy cross-stitching one. Because that's a thing. But as you can see, she's got quite a few. But she has got some really nice ones that I quite like. I mean, I really like things like this one. That's quite a striking pattern. Would make a great kind of cushion. It's just it's one of the things I keep forgetting about Etsy. It does this. Always opens a new thing rather than. But she's got a few Celtic ones. So if I do, hang on, search for. So she's got kind of a few. Some were better than others, in my humble opinion. This is one of the ones that is definitely a bit false. So if I bring it up size, if you look here, this white bit just does a figure of 8, but it wouldn't stay in that shape by default. So that bit's kind of a bit weird. And then obviously the blue just kind of goes in and out and weaves. It's quite an attractive thing to look at, but it's not a Celtic knot. The bits in the middle potentially are. I haven't actually checked their validity, but they are much more knottified. But the border is distinctly not. But it is pretty. Which is important in life, let's face it. So, yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of a thing. So I'm going to do some of that. So that's where I'm at with all of that kind of crap. So, and you missed me showing off my 2 finished objects. I have already finished 2 projects this year. So, for Nautica and Latecomers only. Let's zoom in a bit. And this was the first one I finished. So this was a bought pattern, but I changed it because I didn't like one bit, which I'll show you in a minute. But this was the first one I finished. Done in 2 colours because it's much easier to remember which shuttle should be doing what at what point. So that one came out real nice. And then there was this one, which I started a bit earlier, which is the unaltered pattern. And as you can see, it's got these really big holes, considering, you know, the size. I mean, if I put this next to it, it's quite a big hole. I did try it in a slightly bigger thread, so hang on. It's not. Oh, I've wound it round on my hair. I didn't trim off the ends, and I've wound them round, and it's tied it in a knot. Hang on. Bear with me 1 second as I untangle the great knot of shitness that is the ends that now suddenly seem to be 8 meters long because they're wound around something small. Hang on, nearly there. Getting there. Almost. It's just strangling a corner now. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so if you take a bigger thread, now I know this is arguably substantially bigger, but you look at the size of this hole, you wouldn't want this in a curtain. You wouldn't want holes that big in a curtain, or in fact many things, because a hole that big is just a bit big. Now it's not so bad with this smaller one, but it's still quite a large area not to have anything in. But it also makes it quite unstructurally sound, which is why I added these 2 loops here on each side, which gives it a bit more to hang on to hold it in the right place and to give it a bit more structure, so that it wouldn't bend and twist and do all the things. Now, this one has beads on it, which was their original plan of the designer. And I don't hate it. The beads were a bit fussy. And as Christy and I will agree on, beads are annoying to work with. They do look nice, and it's not that I don't like them. But I actually like this quite a lot. So I am pleased with myself. For I altered the pattern to suit my needs. But yeah. That's what I did yesterday. So I finished both of those. But now we're working on the motif. I done the twisties. I did do the twisties. You. Yeah, it has been a while, I know, it's been a week, but I am feeling a little bit more me, so, as I say, I'm not going to rush back to streaming every day, because I don't want to rock the boat too hard, but should I feel, do not expect a stream Monday, because Monday will be a first full 8-hour day, or 8.5-hour day in my case, and when I say 8.5 hours, it's 9.5 hours, because that's not including my lunch break. So yeah, really not looking forward to Monday particularly. Do have to admit, it's not that I hate my job, and that's the weird thing. I don't hate my job. There are things I hate about my job, but I don't hate my job. But, like everything, sometimes the things that annoy you, even though they aren't that big, are made bigger because they stand out in your mind. And you end up thinking, because humans do this a lot, We are negative thinkers by default, and I definitely fall into that category. And so you dwell on the negativity because it annoys you, and then it becomes kind of all-encompassing. And you know, it makes it sound worse. It's a bit like if you had a trip and you had a glorious time, but on the way home, there was problems with the airline, right? You're going to come back, and the first thing you're going to say is, "Oh, we had a great time, but," and then tell them the story of the airline. Because it's the biggest thing in your mind. It was the biggest obstacle. It was the last thing that happened, and it was a bad thing. Now, in management, they will tell you off. If you're ever going to tell your employee off, sell them a shit sandwich. Tell them they did something good. Correct the bad behaviour. Tell them something else they did good. So they remember 2 good things and 1 bad thing. To the point, the good things might be enough that they forget that they got told off for a bad thing. But if they don't remember enough of the telling off about the bad thing, they'll do it again. So it's a bit swings and roundabout, but it is quite normal to get a shit sandwich. So you don't walk out their office bawling your eyes out. You know, it'll be things like, you know, we're really pleased with the amount of effort you put in on, you know, something, and, you know, but we were a bit disappointed when you did this one because it didn't seem to work out. However, you know, you have done this one really well, and, you know, we do have every belief, and, you know, and we've got lots of reports back from customers on how well you did. They're hoping you've now forgotten that you said there was shit in the middle. But that you remember enough of it that you won't do it, but it doesn't always work that way. So, you know, but that is generally a common management tool, the shit sandwich. It's like when people, you know, are asked, do you want the good news or the bad news? Most people ask for the bad news first, to get it out the way, and then to cheer themselves up with some good news. It's the same as if you ask a kid to eat a plate full of something, a plate full of food, and there's something on it they don't like. Chances are they'll eat it first, because then the flavours they remember afterwards are the good ones. Most of us do not leave the nasty thing till last, because then it's the last thing you remember eating and the one that stays in your mouth with you when you walk away. And the shit sandwich works in the same way. Or the principle of the shit sandwich works in the same way. Doesn't always work. Especially on neurospices. Because we're too busy arguing that, well, I did what you told me to do, arsehole. The fact that you're now telling me I did it all wrong, but I did exactly what you told me, when you told me, to the letter. My former employer had a thing called the spirit in the letter. And the spirit in the letter is actually a really good principle. So, a good example of the spirit in the letter. In the UK, in a residential area, 99% of them, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. Around schools it's 20, but around normal housing, 30 miles an hour. The spirit of the law is that you drive slowly and with enough care and caution that you can stop at any given time. The letter of the law is you will not go over 30. And that is generally how the spirit of the letter works. It's not only the actual lettering of what the law says, but, you know, because there's no point driving around at 30 with your eyes shut. Okay, let me go have a look. Clickety click. Ooh, click to bench. Clickety click. That's quite pretty. Can I share with the stream? Cool. So here's the first piece. which, you know, it's a lovely pair of earrings. I do like the earrings. I like the shape of those. I'm not much of a necklace wearer, I have to admit. But so you've got a pair of earrings, a necklace, and a bracelet by the looks of that. And then, oh, that's good. I like those, the pearly ones. That's pretty. I like that. I like how it snakes in between them. That gives it a really nice looking texture. That's very cool. Quite like that. Definitely. Again, not really a necklace or a bracelet person, actually, for that matter. I mean, I don't even wear a watch anymore. One of my friends didn't understand, and this is so neurospicy, it's ridiculous. But I used to wear a watch all the time, and in fact, if you actually look at my left hand, you can still see where the watch was, because my watch was flush with skin. I had it so tight, it was flush with the skin, so it constantly made a dent. And, you know, I haven't worn a watch now for 4 years, yet you can still see where my watch was. So I can't wear anything loose and rattly around my wrist, because that would drive me up the wall. And then you got that, oh, drop necklace. I like those. Do you like the little fronds coming down? They're an unusual shape. I'll have to have a good view in on those to have a look on how you managed to make the sort of spiral. Oh, I do like that. They're really pretty. Thank you, Christy. Yeah. As I said, if you look at my left wrist, you can still see where the dent is around my... Because if you look at this wrist, I don't have the same kind of dent. Whereas on this one, there's this like dent here, which is where I used to have my watch. Because I used to have a metal watch with a metal bracelet, and it literally would be flush, if not slightly indented, from my skin, because it must not move. Dear God, no, it must not move. No. It's part of the problem. I know this is going to sound really weird. I don't like trousers. I don't like dresses or skirts either, but I don't like trousers. Well, I understand that. It was testing a principle rather than, you know, the end result per se. I get that. I definitely get that. But yeah, I when I started working, because casual dress was a thing where I was working, I was really happy, and I used to wear what Marks and Spencer termed ski pants. They were kind of a bit like jodhpurs with straps, but not. So it was a cross between kind of ski pants, leggings, and jodhpurs. It was this kind of weird combination. They were seriously the rage in the 90s, and I loved them because they didn't flap, right? The problem is, and I didn't twist them again, fuck's sake. The problem is, as I say, I can't stand it flapping. And so when I had to go somewhere and work wearing a actual suit, oh dear God, oh dearie me, the mental anguish of flapping suit trousers. I cannot explain to a normal person the sheer mental torture that is a flapping trouser. Just the bottoms flapping around a bit like this, doing no harm. Dear God, no. Oh my God, no. Now, I ought to point out, part of this is a result of being a child of the 70s. Why, you may ask? Bay City rollers. If this does not mean something to you, you are lucky. Flares. Frigging flares. Flares that as you walked, the flap, the kind of flap bit that I'm talking about, would go round, whack your other leg, and literally wrap round it and trip you the f*** up. Level of flares. My mother, bless her little face, said with as much sincerity as I can muster, Now, bear in mind, we were poor. We were actually decently poor. She bought most of our stuff, my stuff second hand. So I'm not going to deny that there were not necessarily great pickings. But she bought flares that frankly could have tripped up half of the American football team in one swipe, right? And for years after, drain pipe trousers were in. So when I was at junior school, when all this was really kicking off, they had a non-uniform day. I think it was for Lady Di and Prince Charles's wedding, actually, but they had a non-uniform day, which is quite unusual at that school. They didn't really do that kind of thing. Well, my mother sent me to school. I've mentioned these trousers before. They were jeans with 3 different colours of trefoils pitched on. For those who do not know what trefoil is, basically think of a 3-leaf clover, right? In yellow, green, blue. There might have been some, I don't remember there being red ones. But there might have been a 4th colour of red, so go with it. But they were like dotted around my trousers, along with flares. When everyone else's trouser bottoms were like this big, mine wouldn't fit on the screen. Mine would kind of border the whole screen, right? And I was a naturally picked on child because I was skinny, I had glasses, and, well, frankly, I'm a bit of a nerd. So, this does not equate to a fun life at school. Especially when your secondary school regularly does non-uniform days, like, at least once a year. And through most of that, flares had been long since over. So I'm just checking something. It didn't look quite right for a minute, but it is. That's okay. Panic not yet. No panics yet. It's still good. My mother was still sending me to school in flares. And teenage children are vicious. If you hear of a lot of stuff on TV about, kids who had a tough time at school in America, it was high school. It is the teenage years of your life. They will strip you for nothing. I nearly got hospitalised once for it because some kids decided to kick 7 buckets of crap out of me, and 2 kicked me in the kidneys at the same time, putting me into near kidney failure. To the point that every time I went for a pee, even if it was 2 drips, because that was all I could cope with at the time, I would throw up because my kidneys couldn't handle it. I was distinctly very ill for a while. But this was my school life. I got picked on because I was wearing glasses, picked on because I was in the gymnastics team, picked on because I was skinny, picked on, frankly, just picked on because I was picked on. The only thing they didn't really pick on me for was my name. Whereas my friend at school did, because her name was Bettina Ursinelli. And Bettina, who was my best friend throughout junior school, Bettina was Beatonursi ever so smell, Ursinelli ever so smelly, right? But I had my own problems. Do not get me wrong. They found a bunch of names to. I was rash. I had lots of rashes as a child. I wasn't particularly allergic to anything. I just was really good at collecting rashes because I was always out doing things and poking things and playing with things I probably shouldn't. And in the garden, so I poked things and got bit by things and, inevitably had some rashes for it. So I then got the nickname of the Deadly Flea Bag, which bit a bit hard because, and my dad had 2 nicknames for me. And I don't think I ever told him, but one of them was Fleabag. He meant it as in, you know, mutt. But of course the kids were calling me Deadly Fleabag because I'd had rashes and was scratchy. He didn't know that. Told him probably. But at that age you don't think about it, you know, but it upset me greatly. I also remember my dad reducing me to absolute wailing tears, and him realising just how much it hurt was when I was a bit older and I'd started wearing bras, so I would have been a good few years older by that point. He twanged my bra strap and obviously didn't think it was that hard. Well, there's bra straps and bra straps, people. Some of them are thick bands with tiny little metal hooks in, and some of them are a piece of elastic that meets like a belt buckle in the middle, kind of metal, in that it's two hoops, but two kind of S shapes so that they meet like this and clamp and then go flat. But of course it's solid metal on your spine, and he twanged it and it hurt like a motherfucker. And he didn't realise until I balled the house down, frankly. He did feel suitably guilty for that one, I need to point out. But, you know, like a lot of these things, is that, you know, we all have time, you know, we can all look back on some of those times and think how, you know, if only things had been slightly better at the time. So yeah, I had a tough time at school. I do remember a lot of it. As we said earlier in the stem, I do remember an awful lot of my childhood stuff. Not always for good, you know. Clearly not. I still haven't entirely worked out what one event was. Something definitely happened, and I don't know what it was. And I don't believe it was necessarily specific to me. As in, it was not like, you know, someone did something bad to me or anything like that. But I remember almost like one week being joyfully, blissfully happy about everything. The next week, and basically from there on out, no, I wasn't. But I don't know what changed it. I can't remember what changed. And that's actually quite concerning, because it obviously had quite a profound effect on me, but I don't remember what I haven't been able to place exactly what it was. I mean, I remember roughly enough when it was, and I can remember some events around there that could have contributed to it, but I don't think that they were it. So, for example, when we changed from infants to junior, which is when you go from being kind of like 6 years old to 7, 7 years was the first of juniors. A number of my friends left the class, leaving me with very few friends. I don't know why they left, because they didn't ever say kind of like, hey, we're moving over the summer, you know, I don't know which, you know, I might not be back. They obviously didn't know. They just moved over the summer and that was the end of it. Never saw them again. So I lost a good couple of friends that summer for no apparent reason. Other than obviously they moved or they went to another school, whatever it was. No, I don't know quite why, but, well, they left our school and I never saw them again. Actually, that's not quite true. I did see one of them again. It was really weird. Because my surname is Kimber, lots of teachers always kept calling me Kim, even though Kimber is not really a first name in the UK. Hide that one for a minute. So a number of times teachers would call me Kim and they, oh, sorry, Liz, kind of thing, right? Well, one of the girls who left was a girl called Kim. And I can't remember where we went. We were on a school trip somewhere, actually. And we'd pulled over at a service station, so, you know, off the coach could go for a pee. And she was there. She was there with her new school, obviously having been somewhere, but not to the same somewhere we'd been. But we ran into her, and it was really weird because it was like, oh my god, we recognise you, you know. So that was a bit weird. I think we were coming back from the Bay of Tapestry, actually, something like that. Yeah, we did weird things. It is funny how, though, sometimes you see people and you go, oh my god, you've changed, I recognise you. And then there are other times when you don't recognise them from Adam and they kind of go, but I'm so-and-so, and you look at them with, and that was supposed to mean something. I do feel sorry for people in that kind of situation, because potentially they've you know, outed their soul to you to admit that, you know, hey, I remember you. Maybe for good or bad, who knows, right? And there you are going, I remember you, mate, sorry. I did sort of have that. I had a kid, as a much older child, I would have been 15 probably, going home, walking home with some friends from secondary school, a bit as a protector really. It was kind of sad because I'm not really fit to protect anything, but I was there to bulk up my numbers and look a bit scarier, and because they'd been picked on by some kid because they asked me to, and we walked past the local sweet shop. I say local, it's about half a mile away, but it's a local sweet shop. And out walked this kid. And he went, hi Liz. And I went, hi Darren. And it was really weird because I hadn't recognised him. And if you'd kind of pointed at the kid across the, you know, across the room kind of thing and said, who's that? My brain would have gone, not a clue, mate. But the moment he said, hi Liz, I knew exactly who he was. He was the kid I used to go to junior school with, so. But yeah, it was one of those, oh my god, I haven't seen you in a while. I do wonder what happened to some of the kids I went to school with. Because, of course, you know, you often, you know, we in the UK, we often hear of, like, Americans having their, you know, class of whatever year parties and whatever. We in the British don't really do that. Although I was made aware that there was going to be one by my two friends from secondary school, but I didn't get an invite to that. Funny that. Clearly I was too neurospicy and they kind of, yeah, that's nasty. I probably wouldn't have gone either, so probably just as well, but... You've come off because you're annoying. So we can straighten out this. Okay. Two. So I've done you two and I just saw you leap off the end. You know, one thing I haven't missed? Constantly having to put things back on the ends of bobbins. Haven't missed that at all. Funny that. Yay! Tench Tench! How you doing? How you doing, my friend? I'm actually feeling much more my normal self. I'm not all the way my normal self, but instead of somewhere over here, I am kind of drifting in this direction slowly. So I am feeling much more positive. I have already finished 2 works in progress this year. They keep coming back because people come along. So this was the first one I finished. Doink. Let's move up a bit because I can't be bothered to move the camera. So this was the first one I finished, and I altered the pattern my very self. So this was a bought pattern, based on a bought pattern, but I didn't like something about it, which is this area here was a bit big. I do have a thing for pink and purple. I don't like the colour purple, and I don't like the colour pink. Certainly wouldn't wear it if you put me, you know, even for my own shit, my own, like, you know, mass shooting in the morning. You know, if I was going to be shot at dawn, I still wouldn't wear it, right? But I do like how pink and purple go together. So, hence I bought some pink and purple thread because I'm not very good with colours, or at least picking colours. But this is the original square it was based upon, which I also finished yesterday. So this has beads in it, as you can vaguely see. There's little shiny bits in the middle in places. There's like beads there, and then there's one in the middle. But I don't like these really big holes. Now, it depends what you're going to do with it. I grant you that. But given that this is quite a fine thread, really, because I mean, you know, that's the size of my hand after all. Focus your miserable camera. Thank you. But I find that those holes just feel a bit big. The fact that, you know, they're big enough for me to put my thumb through. And when done with a slightly larger thread, which was coming out really beautifully. So if I show you the inner square, that looks really neat and tidy, and it's got, you know, it's got the beads on and everything. But then when you add the hole, you've got a hole the size of Texas kind of sitting here in the middle. That's not good. I'm not going to do that movement again. Sorry, I apologize, people. But this hole is, you know, I can get 2 thumbs in it without even stretching it. It was a bit much, and I decided that I needed to correct this. Hence, on this one, I added these 2 little side pieces to bring in the hole. Well, this gives it a lot more stability and a lot more strength, because obviously you're not just joining at the tip of the diamond, you're joining towards the middle. So the middle, but it also means that because I did this in 2 colours, that second row has got a reasonable amount of presence within the square, that it's not quite balanced. Well, that's it. The inner diamond could screw around. The corners could fuck off into England. I mean, you know, if this wanted to, this can fold in and it can twist and it can, you know, it just didn't have quite enough solidness to it. Whereas this is pretty and ornate and open, but not wholly, if that makes sense. In that while there are bigger holes here, they're not holes, they're just gaps. It's a bit like the when does a puddle become a pond and a pond become a lake kind of thing. These are ponds, these are maybe puddles, not lakes like the other one. So but certainly, as I said before, one of the biggest things that I quite like about this square was the fact that by using 2 very distinct colours, I didn't get the shuttles round the wrong way. Now, I can't prove I did or I didn't with the 1 colour one, because they're the same colour, but I'm kind of confident I must have, because I found myself going, I don't think this is the right shuttle. Because in this case, the brown shuttle should have been the pink, and the lighter shuttle should have been the purple equivalent. But I am confident there were times I did this in the light one, that in the dark one, and it was just wrong. But I really do like how this one's turned out, and the fact that I altered it and it worked out to be the right side. And because I mean, look at this. This is the absolute perfection of fitting in. It's not pulling it. It's not baggy. It holds these the shape of these chain bits, because they're called chains. That one's slightly less. I think that was my first one, so that one's a bit more dodgy, but the shape of these chains is beautifully smooth. It holds it really, really well. And I think if I was to make, not necessarily pink and purple ones, obviously, but if I was to make a bunch of these and turn it into a curtain or a tablecloth, it's not, I mean, it's got, personally, I wouldn't think it would make a great tablecloth because you've got things for the forks to live in. But I do think that it, you know, again, if you were doing something decorative on your clothing and you wanted to fill a space, you want it to fill the space and not be too much hole, because you want it to be strong enough, but also maybe open and decorative. That's kind of hit the mark just right for me. So I'm really pleased with my change there. Now, bear with me while I remember what I was doing with this. So I go... Hang on. Need a picture. Want to check I do this right. Because, well, that's a thing. Because I haven't done one of these in a while. And I know I do this nearly every time I stop and start. So... So, the art of keeping them together is a thing. So, we go over, under, over, under. And then we go under, over, under, over. And then we go over. And curse you for your stupidity. Falling apart. Thank you much. Very Mr. Bobbin. Right. And then we go. And we group them all up and give them a bit of a tweak. Feels like I didn't twist some of you sufficiently, because I did not. You are not sufficiently, but you are, but you're not. Your twists need to be nearer that side, not than this side. So let's scoot you up a little bit like that. There we go. That looks a bit better. Yep. And that goes in. Hold there like that. So yeah, I definitely feeling slightly better about myself, but over, under, over, under. No, that's not right. It's you. You're supposed to go under, over, under, over. And then you go over, under, under. And then you go under, over. That's why these little ones were good, but as I've lost one, for now, it will resurface inevitably. I'll find it somewhere, as long as it's not outside or being eaten. Mm-hmm. Oh dear, are we keeping Mum awake? Madam? It's a hard life being a puppy. Nobody loves me. Nobody hugs me. Nobody's fed me in decades. I know. But it is Nugget Day. Did you forget that? Today is Nugget Day. Yes. We get nuggets later. Or rather, you get nuggets later. I don't eat nuggets, no. Don't know what I'm going to have though. Might have burger. Haven't had that for a while. Maybe not. Don't know. What would you do if I said I don't actually fancy? I could cook you some nuggets, I suppose. Got some nuggets in the kitchen. It's 4 o'clock and I'm not ready to eat my own leg yet. It's a bit weird. Can you just sit still, little one? Stop twitching and irritating yourself. Just chill and have the hug. Oh, what a yawn. What? No? What's the matter? Squirm, squirm, squirm. Squirm. Yes, I know. If you just sat still and had a hug, you'd have a mighty fine hug. Oh, Nutty, another yawn. Dear goodness me. I mean, anyone would think that you've been acting and like, you know, you've been earning your living rather than sleeping for like the last 8 hours after your main evening snooze. Will you have time for a cat? Will you have enough energy to catnap till tea? I mean, you know, I worry for you. After all the energy, I mean, you know, you do need energy to do these things, and you know, I'm convinced you might be undersleeping. You know, really am. I mean, how will you have the energy to at least eat the food and then go back to sleep? I mean, you haven't had it. You know, you're awake. Your brother's not. That's right. You headbutt the table. How are your ears? Because last night your ears were cold and wet. And I worry for you in winter, getting chilblains. Let me have a look at this one. Why does it seem to have a lump on it? No, it's not a lump. That's fine. Yes, you're a good girl. Can you stop trying to twitch and call? It's really hard to explain this. I'll give you a slightly better picture while I do this. Oops, wrong one. That one. I meant to put that one. There you go. She is lying down on the couch with her paws on my leg. But she's constantly kind of adjusting her back legs like they're slipping off the couch, except, well, they're firmly on the couch because they're behind me. Yawning like her life depended upon it. Yes, you. Yes, you are a good girl. Yes, you are. Yawning so much she could swallow her head kind of level of yawning. And making me yawn. But constantly just twitching and sneaking and twitching and sneaking. This is why you don't end up with the same lovely cuddles your brothers does. Pretty much. I mean, it's hard to explain just how big a yawn a little dog can have. Look, there's plenty of room on the couch for you. That's right. The mountain goating on my leg is not the answer. Little one. Oh. Right. Now we need to do some more twisties. Hang on. So, we need to do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is where those sticks came in useful. 1, 2, 3. It's a lot quicker and easier to do this. 1, 2, 3. Now we go through and time up with it. Oops, not yet. Did I? Yeah, if you ever look up the Bay City rollers, you'll see what I mean. They had huge scarves, as I recall, and big flares. But due to my age, bear in mind the Bay City rollers were early 70s, they were the Basty rollers, a thing for which I never lived down. So they were the Basty rollers because I couldn't say Bay City rollers. Don't actually remember any of their songs. Let's have a quick look on. There's the music. Bay City Rollers greatest hits. Let's. I remember that one. Okay, let me play you a Basty Rollers. Hang on. So we want to turn. We want to edit this, and we want to turn you on and you off. Yeah. Start around. So let me kick off what can only be described as sadness from my childhood. looking through. What else have they got? Oh, I recognise this one as well. Dusty Springfield did this one. I wonder who did it first. Let's find out. That was Dusty Stringfield first. I knew she'd done it, I just didn't know whether she did it before these guys or not. She did it, but a fair bit before these guys. It was about 6 years, so. Don't know if this is the one I think it is. Don't think it is. No. Don't know what that one is. Don't know that one. Basically, the Bay City Rollers were the boy band of the early 70s. Hold on. Ah, someone else with flat batteries. I know that feeling well. This is a remix, so don't judge this one. Don't know if this is any good or not. The fact that it's got the beat that it has, possibly not. Never hurts. No, that sounds horrible. Far too modern. Let's go for this one. That's cool. It's one of the reasons I liked Ian Key, the typing tutor. It taught you the history of computing while you did it. Hey, Naughty Kel, did you ever watch, well, you bloody ought to have done. Did you ever watch Red Dwarf? Do you remember Tongue Tied? Is it me, or does this sound a bit like Tongue Tied? Fair enough. No, I don't want to listen to this. No. Where's my window gun? Yeah, it would be. Let's kill that shit right off. I'll give you back your normal music. Hang on. There you go. Yeah. I definitely encourage you to watch Tongue Tied. must admit, it sounds like an interesting game. I'm not sure whether it's something I would strongly get into, but I do like things that teach things in a interesting way of doing it. Because let's face it, half the shit you were taught at school could have been interesting if only the teacher had done it in a different manner. If you had Mr. Lifes and Works of a Dung Beetle, who sat there in a very monotone voice and never changed anything and just droned on like this, and you fell asleep and you... Right? Some of the teachers you had could kill the joy in anything, right? Things that you genuinely were interested in, and half an hour later you wanted to rip your ears and eyeballs out because you were done, right? And I think that's always been a problem, is that the right teacher can make a dull subject interesting. The wrong teacher can make a good subject dull. And the problem is that a number of the people who've gone to be teachers are not always... I'm really pleased for you, but certainly over here in the UK, we do have some very odd people pick the profession of teaching. It doesn't always seem to be because they believe that they want to encourage people to, you know, to grow and learn and be the best that they can be. It's more a case of, I want the 15 weeks off every year. Definitely some of those. I've had some good teachers. I've had some bloody awful teachers. The best one was Mr. Collins, who taught statistics, who would be giving a lecture and would cough out the room, talking while he was out there, but you weren't allowed to follow him. So the whole classroom's sitting there going, do you think he's still talking? Yeah, we'll still be talking. And he'd come back in, and he'd still been talking, and then when you all kind of went, sir, can you repeat that? Why? Couldn't you hear me? No. Well, that's your problem. And that was it. And you're like, so you started explaining it. You said what you were going to tell us. You then cloth out the room. Obviously said the important bit. Came back in and said, kind of, do you understand? The answer is no. No, we don't. He was a weird dude. He was. One of his core problems. Now I'm going to assume he had some venereal disease or something, because all he did was scratch his balls all lesson, fiddling in his pocket with his balls. All lesson. And it was one of those, once you've spotted it, you weren't listening anyway. But yeah, he really did have a problem. So he walked off scratching his nuts as he went, and came back, and we had no freaking clue what the heck he was talking about. Right. You back on a stick before I screw it all up. And we need you two on this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely had some good teachers. I mean, I remember the first GCSE history lesson we had was, can't remember her name off the top of my head, but we had a history teacher, and the first lesson we did was King Edward III died of trephining. Discuss. But the first thing she did was reenact the scenario. So we tied Alex Reed to her desk with our ties, because we all had to wear ties in our school, and basically pretended to chop his leg off with a ruler. Because, well, we weren't exactly going to drill into his head, although I'm not sure we would have found anything. But, you know, and it was kind of like, you know, what it was like having medieval medicine and how it worked. And basically they got them drunk and just chopped it off, whatever they were doing. And it was kind of like, they did what, miss? So they drilled into his head with what? Oh, mallet and a... Okay, So they didn't really drill in his head. They kind of, well, they did, but they started off with kind of like, you know, a mallet and a pokey thing, and then ground at it, and if it went too far, oh well, never mind, Okay. And they don't think that he might have died of this. Well, kind of for his sake, I kind of hope he did. What do you mean maybe he didn't? Discuss. Well, infection was clearly going to be an issue, and brain infections are never going to go well, let alone anything that's in a vast supply of blood, which all of that shit is. And well, the shock alone could kill you, and I'm impressed anyone lived through it, miss. What do you mean? It was one of those. So yeah, I enjoyed that, and she was a good teacher. I had a great English teacher as well. I had a shocking French teacher. Dear me, good God, she should never have been in the profession. She truly was something special. She was proper specially bad, she was. Where are we at? It's time we edited the edit, I think. For we have... where is it? It's called Progress, as I recall. No. Shit. What's it called then? Where's the... Thank you, Rory. Where's the thing? It's going to be always, isn't it? It's going to be there. I've forgotten where it gets its things from. Yeah. Oh. There it is. Don't remember it being there. Okay. Right, still. What? Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, I had to work this morning. Do have to say, it was not the joys that I would hope. But, you know, could have been worse, could have been worse. It was only 5 hours. Actually, it was 6, because I ended up doing an extra hour, but, you know, such is life. Talking someone through something they've done like 40 times so far, and I know I will have to talk through again because our manager has decided now to have a weekly meeting where we explain shit that we've already explained to other people. So I'm looking forward to that one next week. Absolutely, definitely not looking forward to that one. Oh, show them how to start and stop a service. Really? I need to show you that? Okay. I wonder if they'll be insulted if I ask Rory to do it. Yeah, no. No. I don't think there's this way to kind of sound more positive on that one. No. Well, it was like this morning. It's like, why are you doing that? Oh, well, I thought, yeah, but why? Oh, well, because, yeah, but why? We've been told what our pay rise will be, most likely, for this year. Apparently there are some exceptions and they'll be notified shortly, so we're all kind of dreading it. Because well, she'd certainly sing at them a bit more. But yeah, it's kind of like, what do you mean I need to tell you to stop and start it? If I need to tell you that, you shouldn't be with it in the first place. But yeah, there was some stuff, and he was like, "Oh, we didn't know." Well, other than what? Than I told you like 6 times at the beginning of last year. Okay, apparently you didn't know. Really? I remember telling you. I may not have a great memory, but I do know what I can remember and what I can't. So if I remember it, I know I remember it. I'm not making it up. Excuse me, dog's been yawning too much. There is nothing worse than greatly explaining in good detail and with positive and happiness, and with every iteration I know for a fact I get shorter, miserabler, and frankly almost ruder. It is really hard to explain in wonderful, happy, excited tones for the 20th time. It's just kind of impossible, especially for you and me anyway. And it's not like it's hard stuff either. It really isn't. We're not talking, brain surgery or rocket science shit here. We are talking, frankly, elementary level stuff. There are small children who could follow these instructions without further explanation. And I struggle with that. And I know that makes it a me problem because I am the one who can't do it. I am the one who should do better. But as I was explaining to someone earlier, I did 516 tickets last year, and I'm supposed to be a server high-end specialist. A man who is arguably a level below that did 30. The man below him did 458. The man on first line did 3,000, which you would expect because they're the change password, add this, take that, not the my servers were being wonky, spend 3 weeks proving it kind of thing, right? But I managed to average basically two tickets a working day last year. He didn't even manage 3 a month. And most of those tickets are patching, for which there are 2 a month, occasionally 3 a month, and that's where the numbers come from. And that really kind of is frustrating because he disappears. And I mean, my co-worker, who you all know from the texting variety, he wanted to show the guy something, and he asked to show him, and he was like, yeah, I really want to see that. And about half an hour in, I've got to ditch for a minute. I'll be back. 3 hours later, he came back. And the guy was waiting on him and went, where have you been? Oh, well, I thought you'd have gone on without me. No, you said you wanted to watch. Been waiting. Oh, you shouldn't have. Well, how was I supposed to know that? So, he I do wonder if he's not happy. Well, hello, I think we can relate to that. But I do wonder if there's something more to it. But like everything, if you don't give people a hint, even if it's something you don't overly want to share, which is fine, because, you know, we're adults, we can understand. But if you don't say, I'm hoping about... I mean, I was talking to someone this morning, and, you know, he's potty training his kid, and he had to nip off a few times, and as I said to him, how many times have I said, I'm having a shit week? I can't think straight, I'm not doing my best. You're getting like a 60% version of me. And he goes, quite a lot. And I went, but I've still done that many tickets and not had any issues. I know that while I was off, there were 4 complaints put in about people covering my work. And I really haven't been fit to work for a few months now. Not in full capacity. I've been, you know, I could have done the, you know, change password and pat things on the head, but I've been doing complicated shit that my brain isn't used to doing, has never done before, and working it out, while everyone else is expecting me to hand it to them on a plate. And I'm going, I don't know, I've never done it. Oh, but you're doing this for years. Yeah, but I've never had to do this. So I've got to work it out so you can sit there and expect me to hand it to you. Well, I mean, one of the tickets I had today, we need a list of all the file types in these folders. Why can't you do it? They're your folders. You've got access to them. You've got the same level of access I have, for Christ's sake. Why have I got to do it? And as I was explaining to the guy this morning, one of the biggest problems I have is that I don't mind doing anything. I'll do anything, you know, realistically. But it does rub me up the wrong way when a man who's earning twice as much as I am can't be asked, but he's being paid to do it, but makes me do it for him. Well, hang on. Not only are you paid for it, sunshine, you're making me do it when I'm not paid for that. And so, you know, it is one of the common things is it's not that I won't do it. It's not that I can't do it. I want to understand why you're not going to try it. Because if you've tried and you can't do it or you don't understand, that's a different thing, because I can explain it to you and offer you to do. You can go off and try it. But that doesn't mean it makes it my job. So yeah, I knew today would be difficult, but I still feel more positive than I have. There was almost like a turning point kind of just before Christmas. I remember waking up one morning and actually feeling like I wanted to do something useful rather than just sit, watch TV and mope around the place. So I am aware that I have maybe joined the main street to happiness. I am no longer on some back alley dark road and maybe going nowhere. So I'm definitely feeling better. This is a good thing. We like this. I probably won't stream tomorrow night. But you never know. If the shit that has come, i.e. my skeins to put on my piece of fabric, on this, I know it's a bit shiny, but you can see that it's got counted numbers on it. This was the main reason I bought this, was because counting squares is fucking awkward, frankly. And when you've got to count like 270, you don't want to be out by 2 or 1 at the end and not have enough. Because you don't generally kind of grow out from a corner, you generally like make a column, and it wouldn't kill you as long as you don't kind of do the corner bits and then try and do the middle, which is kind of how I found best to work with the Biscornu thing that I was doing, which, as I said, I really liked how that was going until we had green flowers, and that was it. Bubble burst, and I just kind of... I mean, it's nearly finished. Really is. Can't bring myself. However, as long as the colours that come are as nice as they look, this should be fun. So yeah. I am looking forward to it. It's again something to do while watching TV, because tatting is not one of those things, as I said, when you've got thread wrapped around this hand with a ball of stuff wedged in here. So, you know, when you're working on the final bit, you've got this bit wedged in here and you've tried to join a corner, so you've kind of got it wrapped around your finger like this, because you've got the bit you're working on and the bit that's coming around, and you're trying to fiddle with that, and then you've got the shuttles kind of grabbing at the dangly bit, and you're trying to hold it like this and not flip the bird too much, and do a whole pile of that, and you know, all of those, and count, and it's not overly conducive, where this is actually a lot easier, because as I said, I put it into you know, I put a pattern. I'm going to put the pattern I actually want now, because I bought a different pattern, because I was just going to make one for me, and then I spotted that and thought it would be quite nice. I doubt I will complete it, excuse me, for her birthday, but I can try. We'll see how it goes, but I'm kind of predicting not. Yeah, I mean, I could pick all manner of colours. I could do black and white. I've got green. I've got red. So, yeah, we shall see. We shall see what colour, when it comes, which colour draws me to it. Green would be ideal, but I kind of like the green. I really thought there was a petrol blue one. Maybe that was something I looked at, but it was an expensive one. When I say expensive, it might have been £8 whole. But I think it might have been £8 for 3, whereas this is £4 for 12, and 12 will do the whole pattern, and well, the whole coloured bit of the pattern. And I bought some white just in case I need to fill in the white, because it depends if these kind of wash out or not. Speaking of which, let me rustle. Where's the edge? There's the edge. I do hate the fact that they make these bags with like semi-sticky flaps on, but they don't colour the flaps so you can see them. So let me have a quick look. I want to see how frayed the edges are or not, because it is a bit bigger than it needs to be. So it's not all the edges actually look really quite neat and tidy. That's cool. I probably should press it, but I'm not going to, in case this is the washable one. It doesn't say it's the washable one. But I shall put this on my thing and mark out where my square is going to be. The idea I'm going to do is I'll do all the coloured squares, and then if I have to, because it doesn't wash out, I'll do all the white ones. Trying not to do the white ones. So it will depend a little if the washable one turns up or not, but it's not going to turn up today, I don't think, because I did order 2. One washable, one not, or one that didn't say it was washable. It's made by the same people, which is a bit weird. So I'm not convinced either is that there's a difference, if you know what I mean. Yeah, arriving today or tomorrow, so it hasn't even been dispatched yet, so that's the answer to that. Oh, it's got a tracking ID. Who's it with? It doesn't say. What do you think? Nope, don't want to do that. I really hate how so many of these things, hey, use this, and then you can't, because, oh, you've got to sign up and enter everything bar the colour of your mother's underwear on the date of conception. And it's kind of like, you know what? Maybe not. Okay, so it's not parcel for us. I'm feeling it's Royal Mail. No. But it does suggest that most of the thread should arrive today. So the things to come are the threads that I described to you earlier. The gold beads should also arrive today. These that arrived, so which ones are these? Okay, this is just the normal fat count one. Okay. Hang on, dog. Stop being so excitable. Tomorrow, or soon, should be the washable ones with the bluey, purpley, beady things. Let me show you what I mean by the bluey, purpley, beady things. Hang on. Being mauled by Rory. Hang on. Ow! Dog! So, that's what I mean by the bluey, purpley things. They look quite pretty and would go with the pink and purple, I feel, quite well. Rory, trying to talk and do things. I am. Stop looking sad and miserable. You do not have a hard life, my man. But today and tomorrow should see some vitamin pills and some stress-less pills for the dog. Because for Amy, because she's doing everyone's head in. Oh, God, you should have seen it on New Year's Eve. 8 o'clock. Someone decided, fairly close, to let off some really loud banging, cracking fireworks. We did not like this. We took great exception to this. And pretty much someone every hour till midnight let off fireworks. Oh, I could have kebabbed the pair of them. I really could. Oh, Rory, little man. Oh. I love how you grumble. You wanted to... Oh, ow! Oh, is that what it was? She was chewing the thing that you wanted. Children. Fairy children. You wanted to grind on the grindy thing, but Amy was grinding on the grindy thing. When there are other grindy things to grind. No, dear. Did he manage to make you feel like there was something you should go barking about, and then you realised actually all he wanted to do was steal your grindy thing? Really? Was that it? Was that it? So, as I said, maybe not tomorrow. Maybe Sunday if I'm doing really well and maybe I've started this and I've got something to show for you and I'm feeling still positive and upbeat. If not, hopefully early next week. I'm not promising, but this is where I'm believing we are heading. So that could be good. That could be good. Hello. So yeah. Yeah. It could, but I definitely think we are doing better, which is distinctly a good thing, because I have been pretty friggin' miserable. I know my co-worker was having a morning. I nearly told him to check his own backups, but I did help. I was nice. Hello, Amy. Yes. Hello, little one. Little nose. Yes. Wonderful. That's right, you headbutt. You headbutt the camera. You headbutt the camera. Because it needed it, didn't it? Yes. Anyway, thank you for accompanying me on my chaotic journey today. I am going to call it quits because it's time to order some nuggets for the dogs. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? I think somebody wants her nuggets. Yes, somebody wants nuggets. Yeah, as I said, I should hopefully see you soon. As I said, while I do have time slots, the only promise is a Friday afternoon. I will be trying a bit harder to do some in between, because I do enjoy talking to you all and sharing and doing some crafting, and well, clearly I enjoy doing some crafting because, well, I did this yesterday. So it is not that I don't enjoy crafting. I just sometimes I just kind of want the world to sod off and leave me alone, and it generally doesn't. So I like but I am slowly poking my nose out of my. There you go. So but I am beginning to like an animal in spring, wondering if springtime has sprung yet. I am poking my nose out of my little hidey hole to see if it's all over, and I think the answer might be yes. So this is a good thing. I shall see you all again soon. Don't forget to join Discord, because you can chat and post pictures and talk to other people when we're not streaming. And this video will be up on YouTube later. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.